Welcome to a Bible quiz all about Jesus, his birth, teachings, miracles, death, and resurrection. You'll have 30 statements, but can you tell which are true and which are false? Ready? Let's go. Jesus was born in Nazareth. Is that true or false? That's false. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. The Messiah was expected to come from the tribe of Levi. That's false. The Messiah would come from the tribe of Judah, not Levi. The Bible says 3 wise men visited Jesus as a young child. That's also false. The Bible does mention 3 gifts of gold, frankincense and myrrh, but not the number of wise men. Malachi foretold a messenger who would prepare the way for the Messiah. That's true. Malachi 3 verse 1 reads, "I will send my messenger," and this was fulfilled in John the Baptist. Jesus became the Son of God at his baptism. That's false. Jesus is eternally the Son. His baptism revealed, not created, his divine identity. Jesus turned water into wine at a wedding. That's true. This was Jesus' first recorded miracle. Jesus fed 5,000 men with 5 loaves and 2 fish. That's true. Jesus multiplied the food to feed the crowd. Jesus fed a crowd, but he never provided food for his disciples directly. That's false. Jesus fed his disciples on multiple occasions, including after his resurrection. A woman was healed when she touched Jesus' clothes. That's true. She had a bleeding condition and was healed when she touched his cloak. Jesus never healed anyone from a distance. That's false. Jesus healed the centurion's servant from a distance. Jesus said that money is the root of all kinds of evil. That's false. Jesus warned about the love of money, but this quote is from 1 Timothy 6 verse 10 and not Jesus. Jesus taught that the meek will inherit the earth. That's true. Matthew 5 verse 5 is a verse from the Beatitudes. A blind man received his sight after mud made from dirt and spit was applied to his eyes. That's true. Jesus anointed the man's eyes with mud and told him to wash in the pool of Siloam. Jesus said, "Do not judge," meaning we should never make any judgments at all. That's false. Jesus, in Matthew chapter 7, warns us against hypocritical judgment, not all judgment. Jesus healed people instantly, never gradually. That's false. One blind man's healing came in 2 stages. In his teaching, looking at someone with lust was described as adultery of the heart. That's true. Jesus equated lustful thoughts with adultery. Jesus said the greatest commandment is to love God. That's true, and we can read that in Matthew chapter 22. Jesus taught that storing up treasures in heaven is better than storing riches on earth. That's true and can be found in Matthew chapter 6. Jesus promised his followers a life free from hardship and suffering. That's false. He said, "In the world you have trouble, but cheer up, I have overcome the world." Public prayer was something Jesus strictly forbade. That's false. Jesus warned against praying to be seen by others, but not public prayer itself. Jesus said, "I and the Father are one." That's true. John chapter 10 verse 30 is a direct claim to unity with God, which his listeners understood as a direct claim to divinity. Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. That's true. This fulfilled a prophecy from Zechariah. The Last Supper took place during the Jewish festival of Passover. That's true. Jesus shared the Passover meal with his disciples. At the Last Supper, Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. That's true. Jesus washed their feet to teach humility and servant leadership. Jesus carried his cross to Golgotha. That's false. Simon of Cyrene was forced to help carry the cross. Psalm 22 describes details of crucifixion centuries before it was practiced. That's true. Psalm 22 verse 16 reads, "They pierce my hands and my feet." The temple curtain was torn in two when Jesus died. That's true. This symbolized access to God being opened through Jesus. Jesus first appeared to Peter after his resurrection. That's false. Jesus first appeared to Mary Magdalene. Jesus ate food with his disciples after rising from the dead. That's true. He ate broiled fish to show he wasn't a ghost. The Bible says that Jesus is the image of the invisible God. That's true. Colossians 1 verse 15 reads, "He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation." How did you get on? If you scored more than 25, then well done. But knowing facts about Jesus isn't the same as truly knowing him. So here are a few final questions to reflect on. How well do you really know Jesus? Not just facts, but who he is. Do you treat him more like a teacher from the past or someone alive and present today? And if you could ask Jesus one question face to face right now, what would it be? I'd love to hear your thoughts on these and your quiz score in the comments below. If you'd like to support the channel, please like, share and subscribe. Until next time, grace and peace to you all.